iPhone 13 Pro Max has to be the best iPhone Apple ever made. Let me tell you 3 reasons why. Number 1 has to be the processor is still really good. The processor is going to be really good, and I think it can last like 3 years and still be on top and like run every game perfectly. Number 2, it's the first ever iPhone that brought 120Hz screen, which people were fiending for the longest time, but they finally brought it with the 13 Pro Max, and it's amazing on the 13 Pro Max. And number 3, the cameras are still really good, and they're probably going to be really good for another 3 years. And one last extra fact or thing about the 13 Pro Max is the battery life is super good, and the software is probably going to last you around 4 more years. So the iPhone 13 Pro Max is literally like the best iPhone to buy right now for your grandpa, your dad, or even you.
Is it possible to instantly travel through space?
Yes, it is for light. So if you have no mass, then no time passes for you. Or equivalently, there's no distance between galaxies. So from the point of view of a beam of light traveling from a distant galaxy to us, it crosses the universe instantly. So it's not only possible, it's actually mandated. It's compulsory for photons, from their perspective, to travel like that. I should say, this all sounds very confusing. Relativity is a wonderful thing to read about, and you can read about it. It gets complicated when you're talking about gravity and all those things. But actually, the special theory of relativity, where all this time travel stuff is, and this strange idea that distances all shrink to 0 in the universe for photons, that's not actually too difficult. It's difficult conceptually, but the maths is quite easy. It sounds baffling when I talk about it, but that baffling is interesting.
This is a robot farmer. It can pick soft fruit, like strawberries. The arms of the robot have these stereo cameras, and they use computer vision to find a stalk and gently remove the fruit.
And then I'll take it to the inspection chamber here. You'll see a few flashes as it images it all around, then it will decide which punnet to put it in.
Just to be clear, this robot won't mean the end of humans on farms.
The robots we can create will be very good at doing a very specific task. For us, we look to incorporate our robots with human workers, so the humans can do the thinking that the robot can't.
I was talking to some farmers yesterday about whether this robotics was a revolution or not. I was saying it's not a revolution, it's a transition. We're just at the start of really applying this kind of idea of intelligent robotics to real-world, tangible problems. And it's a really exciting journey we're all on.
Tough one. I can't breathe when you're not there. It's a tough one. I can't breathe when you're not there. It's a tough one.
For the astrophysicist, we don't really care much about sea level. You want to be high, you're measuring your distance from the center of the Earth. So you want to find the farthest point from that center. And it turns out sea level at the equator is farther away from the center of the Earth than sea level near the pole. It has nothing to do with global warming and melting of the ice caps.
Why is that?
Because Earth, we know it spins once a day. You know, when you spin pizza dough, it kind of flattens out. It gets wider in the middle. And so Earth, throughout its life, even when it formed, it was spinning. And it got a little wider at the equator than it does at the poles. So it's not actually a sphere, it's oblate. And officially it's an oblate spheroid. That's what we call it. Not only that, it's slightly wider below the equator than above the equator. So it turns out the pear-shapedness is bigger than the height of Mount Everest above sea level.
Let's count down the 3 biggest developments in space news from this past week.
A SpaceX exec told U.S. senators on October 18 that regulatory red tape is slowing progress on its moon-bound Starship rocket. SpaceX wants Congress to double the FAA's licensing staff and modernize the launch approval process ASAP to avoid the U.S. falling behind China in the new space race. According to a new Oxford study, the largest Marsquake ever detected was caused by tectonic activity and not a meteorite impact as previously thought. The discovery could prove invaluable as researchers plan crewed trips to the Red Planet. India is one step closer to becoming just the 4th nation to send people into space, thanks to the successful test of its Gaganyaan spacecraft escape module on October 21. Next for the nation, sending a humanoid robot into orbit by 2024 to simulate a crewed mission. Follow for more, or check out the T-Minus newsletter you can find at freethink.com. Bang!
Having a great PC or console on a subpar monitor is as crazy as bringing your entire gaming setup outside to play Warzone with the boys. Not speaking from experience. That's why I'm upgrading to the MSI G274 QPF QD monitor. This is a monitor by MSI designed specifically for esports. It's got a WQHD resolution and 170Hz refresh rate, giving me higher and smoother frames. And with its quantum dot technology, the colors look extremely accurate and very vibrant. It also has a 1 millisecond response time, which eliminates any screen tearing or choppy frame rates, and of course includes AMD FreeSync Premium as well as NVIDIA G-Sync. It would have been a crime to stay on my 60Hz monitor now that I have a 4090, and I'm really happy that I partnered with MSI to make this happen. And at only $330, it really is a great monitor at a great price. Check it out at the link in my bio.
The only thing you'll be upgrading is the processor. Everything else would be a major downgrade. I wouldn't even consider this. You could go to the 13.
A scoop of which planet, if you scooped up a piece of it, would float in your bathtub?
In case you didn't know, we live on Earth. It's dense, and so too is Venus and Mars and Mercury. We're rocky planets. Then you go beyond the asteroid belt, you get the big bulbous gas giants. They're all very low density. Jupiter, Saturn, Uranus, and Neptune. Among them, Saturn is by far the least dense. In fact, it is less dense than water. And anytime you have those conditions going for you, you will float in a bathtub.